3 things to look at. Okay. Right, so KMS update news. 3 things. One from last week. No, 2 weeks ago. Early last week. Last Tuesday. And then one from 5 days ago. And then one from today. Fresh off the presses. So let's see. The first one, you might have already heard some stuff about that. Additional option transfer scroll distribution information. So one of the things they mentioned is that people who are basically completely done with their items, but now they get all of these flames, and they didn't want to risk having to redo the flame on their item, you know, for the fear of trying to gain 10 stat or something, and then having to spend all of the money again to do all of the other forms of upgrading on your item, right? They were talking about giving an item to people that they could use to transfer just the flame option to another of the same item, but only people who meet specific criteria will receive them. So let's see what those criteria are. Due to lack of information, existing notice has been updated. Okay. To prevent confusion from the added information, all changes will be in red. Okay. Oh, that's from the 26th, so that's still a long time ago. Cool. Oh, and the scroll was already distributed on the 27th. Let's see. There's an option difficulty slightly decreased. Yeah. And the compensation. Yeah. Okay. We informed that items that were already equipped, the price of many armor and accessories fell sharply compared to before the changes took place. Right, and this is for non-reboot specifically, of course, that the value of the items gets just thrown upside down because of the access to items to upgrade other items. So, a large amount of scrolls will be given to people who had a lot of high enhanced items with a high level of additional options. So this is more compensation. So it'll be interesting to see if GMS rolls this out as well. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Additional option transfer scroll function. Allows you to transfer an equipment's additional options to another of the same item. The item whose additional options are extracted will disappear. For items without scissor counts, except for certain items, they will receive a scissor count of 10. Okay. Cannot be used on the following items. Items that can be traded. Items that cannot be enhanced. Lapis and lazuli. Equipment traces. Items without additional options. Items that disappear when you log out. And items that have been locked with green PC. So there's a bunch of limitations. The additional option transfer items will be distributed on the storage box. So they already have them in KMS. Items can be claimed for 180 days. Okay, so they have quite a long time until November. And it can be used for... And then once you pick it up, it can be used for a whole year until May 26, 2022. And it'll look something like this. You get a special UI for it. If the transfer equipment has those scissor count, okay. Distribution conditions. One additional option transfer scroll will be given for each item that meets the conditions. The item requirements will be checked based on their status at the time of the maintenance on February 25th, 2021. So I wonder if GMS... Because we haven't heard anything from GMS if they were going to do this as well, right? I guess they need at least a week to round it out, and Neo's around the corner, so they're probably a little bit busy. But let's see. Even if they met the conditions after that point, they will not be included in the distribution. If you had any items that met the conditions, either equipped or in your inventory, blah blah blah, will be distributed to the world. Even if you move the item to another Maple ID after the maintenance, the Maple ID that held the item at the time of the maintenance will be compensated. If a character was in Burning World at the time, move it over, and Reboot World is not included in additional... Nice, okay, thanks. Transfer conditions. Armor. Root Abyss, Absolab, Arcane. That's it. Accessories. Tyrant, Papmark, Zakum Belt. These are, of course, items that you might think, why are these even here? Because some of these are actually close to or actual best in slot in KMS because they don't have access to things like Sweetwater or Gollux. Chaos Mortal Pendant, Machinator Pendant, Dominator Pendant, Golden Clover Belt, Meister Earrings, Ocean Glow Earrings, Loose Control Machine Mark. I'm not even sure what that is exactly. Oh, that's the Lotus one. Magic Eye Patch, Dreamy Belt, Source of Suffering, Commander Force Earrings. And my sister is calling me. I can right now. Sis? Not right now. I'll call her in a bit. 22. They have to be 22 Star Force, 12 Star Force Superior equipment or higher, or 12 miraculous equipment enhancement scroll stars or higher. Jesus, that's a minimum requirement. Legendary potential rank, epic or higher additional potential rank. These are some serious. KMS summer update coming soon. Yeah, we're hoping for some news from that later this week. 22 or higher. Yeah, imagine saying like it has to be 22, and then you're like, oh, you're 23. You don't get it. Yeah, you don't qualify. Items will check some characters' class corresponding base stats. Demon Avenger max HP only? Wait, not attack? What? They just hate Demon Avengers, don't they? Only max HP. Not strength, which is supposed to be our secondary stat. And not attack. Which we also get damage from, because we're warriors. This is incredible. How they just keep fucking over Demon Avengers every single opportunity they get. Just whenever there's a chance, just go for it. If the additional options match your base stats, then we get multiplied based on corresponding equipment level and additional option tiers. Okay. There are tiers 1 through 7 for additional options that we know. When all 4 of the additional options on an item are added up, if the additional option points meet the requirement, an additional options transfer scroll will be provided. Oh, so they just add up, instead of doing flame score, which is, you know, a little bit subjective, they just do objective, they just do the flame level, and then they add those up, I guess. So if you have like a tier 6 jump on top of your really good flame, and someone else has the exact same flame, but they have tier 2 jump. Nah, I'm just kidding. Jump isn't included. But apparently only your HP is included for Demon Avenger. So if you rolled like a tier 5 HP with tier 6 attack, you're getting less than someone with a tier 6 HP and no attack, even though that's a worse flame. Cool. Cool for Demon Avenger. Since level 120, 130 equipment could not reach the required score, we have corrected the section scores. Wow. Amazing. Okay. The remaining additional options are calculated and added up. If the total is 120 points or higher, an additional option scroll transfer will be provided. So they're looking for 120, I see. It's weird, this attack counts for 1, strength counts for 11. I wonder how all-stat is going to be counted here. That's pretty important, but okay. They don't seem to mention all-stat in the example. Many additional options, blah, blah, blah. Same option if there are additional option of 77 dex, it will be calculated as 0 because it is not the base stat for a strength pirate class. RIP. Mentioned before, we have not shared the additional option transfer scrolls distribution criteria, blah, blah. Okay. I wonder how that was, well, I mean, it's for non-reboot anyway, so me playing only reboot, this is just, like, interesting info, but, like, no repercussions whatsoever, even if GMS gets it. Nothing will happen, over in reboot, so should be fine. You're convinced the majority of Nexon doesn't understand how DAs work? Yeah, probably not. I was gonna say, just like the plural, the multiple people, most people who speak English don't know how apostrophes work. That's a little rude. Developer comments on discussing board topics. So that's from a few days ago. So they went through topics, 3,400 topics this time. During this process, posts registered by the same user repeatedly were considered as one post, obviously, if you're spamming. Let's see. Developer with high recommendations. The Reboot world of pet prices are not reasonable when compared to regular worlds. Again, I think this is a really weird thing to talk about. Unless you're playing in both Reboot and non-Reboot, which is, I think, a pretty unique situation. I don't think you can compare the value for the pets at all between the worlds. If anything, are they saying that the reboot ones are too cheap or something? Not being able to trade with other users, set the price by removing the probability element and reducing the pets. We lower the barrier to entry by lowering the initial acquisition price purchasing the pet. By setting a structure where you pay an additional cost for each usage duration for reviving. Every individual is given a utility value of the item. Even if you don't use your Luna Petite pet, the pet itself will not disappear, so you can choose to revive it or not according to its utility value. An environment where you cannot trade with other users. When there are no probability elements, we think that is the best model at this point to allow users who value the experience spend the money according to their individual needs. When they say not reasonable, do they mean that it's too cheap? Because in non-reboot, you have to spend money on literally everything and on VAC bets on top of it. And in reboot, you basically don't have to do anything. And this is like an optional thing. So you'd expect this to be more expensive comparatively, right? Because you get comparatively more reward for less money. So why would you complain that it's too expensive? If anything, it should probably be more expensive. But because you should have more money to spend because you're not spending it on the game, right? So comparatively, it should be more expensive, I think. Yeah, but that's not the price, Millie. KMS NX is like double priced, so it's more like 50 and 7.5 a month, which I think is cheap, but is steep. But I'm a cheap motherfucker, so I can't really use myself as a benchmark there. It was updated? No, that's the same price, but KMS prices are always around double what GMS prices are. The exchange rate for NX and KMS is way more favorable. Let's see, is necessary to make, but in non-reboot you can buy it with Mezzo too. Yeah, but isn't there like a direct exchange rate from Mezzo to Maple points anyway? So that keeps the same price point, doesn't it? It's free, you only need to inform your credit card information. Remember, if you buy anything with NX and stuff and then you recharge, you will get refunded, or you refund. You will get refunded, but your account will also get banned, so. It is necessary to make the Reboot World's passive level ranges more segmented. Oh yeah, segmented. What did we talk about again? We talked about either better segments or adding, what was it? Or adding percentage boss damage to the final damage, right? Let's see. They're still testing, checking the opinions. April 15th, the March 13th test world updates. By June 2021, I was almost going to say 2012, which is the planned date for the official patch. We are preparing improvements. The planned date. June is not a date. That's a month. A date is a day. We're preparing improvements while... Just be there. June 2021 at 8 a.m. Overall experience in addition to the Reboot World passive. Yeah. I wonder what they're going to do with that, because there's a lot of options, a lot of possible options. I saw a lot of general comments were like, oh, why do you add percentage damage when they want to get rid of percentage damage? It's like, because it's percentage damage only to normal monsters. Who gives a fuck? Like, the scaling on that, nobody cares, because all of the prep and all of the min-maxing you do is for bossing anyway. So the percentage damage to normal monsters doesn't factor into any of that. Eating the kebab pizza we talked about. Enjoy that one, dude. We request that you cancel the operation of the advisory group. God, I hope they had some arguments for that and not just like, stop it. Stop. Thank you for your interest in the advisory group's activity and for sending us your opinions. That is the biggest the biggest load of yeah. We hear you, but we're not doing anything. Fuck off. We were able to specifically identify various concerns that you had with the advisory group. Therefore, we also reviewed the user advisory group's activities from the beginning that concluded that nonetheless they would be helpful for the future of MapleStory, so we shared our thoughts in a detailed notice about the advisory group. Wait, we already read this one, didn't we? Yeah. Please continue to watch out and share any additional comments you may have and various methods such as a discussion board. If anything comes up that's actually a reasonable concern, then we'll look into it then. For now, you guys are just crying. That's just the subtext there, you know. Improvements are necessary to display the number of remaining monsters in Monster Park. It is uncomfortable that in Monster Park content where you can only move to the next stage by killing all of the monsters does not display the number of remaining monsters. We have informed you through the suggested notice board that we are going to increase experience from daily quests and Monster Park in June, so we will prepare to apply this as well at the time. Ooh, more experience. Nice. Please improve the boss entry pop-up window to make it more convenient. We have confirmed a variety of opinions from many people about the convenience patch. The boss entry pop-up window has changed so that you can instantly move to bosses. Yeah, that's during Neo. That's when we're going to get that as well. Since previous boss matching was not very useful, as mentioned in a conference. Based on the current boss entry usage patterns, we will further review the parts that require improvements. Okay. I hope those bugs are gone where sometimes you just click yes and then the thing just disappears, and then if you try again, it says like fail to register for the wait list or something. That used to happen with Magnus a lot, but we don't queue for Magnus anymore since we can just teleport to the front door basically. But back in the day, that used to happen quite a bit. Oh my god, my neighbor across the street actually has her lights on when she's when she's not sitting in the dark. It's crazy. We further reviewed video. Okay. Developer opinions on the discussion post's representative topics. Damn. Okay. It's a mouthful. Improvements are necessary to hunting grounds as people are concentrated only in popular maps. Well, that's a little tautological, right? Because popular maps are where people are concentrated, so people are always going to be concentrated in popular maps. That's the whole thing. We know that there are maps which are highly preferred due to their layout or number of monsters. Yep, we think this problem is caused by a lack of concepts and diversity of each map. And because of that, players will find the maps with a higher experience efficiency in normal situations. Well, you'd hope that some maps give you higher experience with some classes, and then some other maps will give you higher experience with some other classes. And as long as you balance the difficulty of grinding with the characters and the usefulness they have in the game properly, then there will be roughly the same amount of people playing the different classes, and you'll have equal distribution among the maps, right? Rocco, thank you for the Prime. Thanks for the 9 months, dude. Baby time. How you doing? Baby Bonnet. A badge for you, just like Aquafina's. Kana enters the chat. Well, KMS doesn't have Kana, so that hugely lopsided distribution is not a part of that equation. Please add keyboard setting presets. Everyone goes full Beast Tamer? Considering the various environments and situations where you enjoy MapleStory, we think that keyboard setting presets are a useful feature. I think so too. When we look at adding improvements to the game, we focus on two things. First, how many people would benefit from this improvement, or how large of an effective improvement would it have, even if it is small, for a small number of people. Keyboard setting presets would provide convenience benefits to a lot of people who love MapleStory, so development priority is high. Especially with so many 5th job skills, so many skills everywhere. Everyone's keyboard is just full, you know? Second, how much time and manpower is required to develop it. However, we confirmed that keyboard setting presets will require a fairly long time to develop. Really? Like, Beast Tamer already has it. You just need preset. I mean, they just add presets for everything. Like, in the beginning, there was only, like, there were only 3. So, presets weren't necessary. But now, since you have so many options for everything, and just min-maxing is the game, you just need presets for pretty much everything at this point. For hyper skills, for your matrix, for your, maybe even for your AP, but like for your SP as a Beast Tamer, for your equips, you know, like drop and meso set or dropless meso set, the bossing set, just for everything. Back then it was like switching 3 items, it was whatever, but now you're switching like 14 of them around. What is presets? Basically that you save a certain setup beforehand and that you switch between the setups. Like the ones that you can have in Legion, where you can have 2 different board presets, and you can switch between the setups so that you get different stats in different situations. Terra F1 through F9, 1 through equals, and Q to TAG. I mean, I haven't used F1 through F9 for anything. I mean, if like drastic, and 1 through 6 is always just the chat options for me. So push comes to shove, like desperate times could call for desperate measures. But I'm really used to having the one, like the F and regular numbers, 1 through 9 keys, or 1 through 7 keys, I guess, to being what they are now. So that would require a lot of muscle memory rewriting, so if that's not necessary, that would be cool. Therefore, it will be difficult to add this in a June patch, but it is a feature which will provide convenience to many people, so we will review it and add it as soon as possible. So that probably means not June, not September, so most likely the earliest time would be like the December winter update or next year. But because they already have quite a lot on their plate, and if this takes long, then there'll have to be a lot of testing on the side as well. Please add a practice mode for each phase and improve it so that potions are not consumable. Consumed. Okay, potions not being consumed, nobody gives a fuck about that. Practice mode for each phase, that's on my list too, let's see. At this point there are no plans to introduce practice mode for each phase, as the current boss monster practice mode places importance on proficiency in the overall challenge process from entering to clearing, rather than repeatedly practicing specific patterns. If it's a boss that's soloable, that makes sense. But if it's a boss that's not soloable and you have to do it in a party, you're just walling a whole bunch of people off. Because now the only time they can go is 1 time a week when they have the whole party. And then if they fuck up then, they ruin the whole party's time. Because they've never gotten to practice any of the patterns. It's an unnecessary wall that is preventing people from participating in the game. I really hope they review that. But. And it's probably not that many people are going to use it. You know, but the ones that are going to do very well. And they're going to enjoy it a lot. More people across the street. Please release character, mannequin, hair, face extraction tickets to make them tradable in the same world. The current situation where cosmetic items are used for various characters and mannequins, we have confirmed that many opinions for the wish of releasing beauty extraction type items. Hairs and faces are currently being created and released based on the current settings per character. At this point there are no parts under review for expanding the usage range of hair face extraction tickets. In the future, if the time comes where changes to hairs and faces are needed, we can review tradable in the same world hair face extraction tickets. It's like if you want to move a complete look to another character or something? That's something. Is there still song requests? Not right now. Please add a storage NPC to event maps. Depending on the type of event, there may be, you may be able to use the event shops only in event maps. Items sold in event shops are mainly sold as tradable in the same world, and we overlook the hassle of having to go to the storage to move items purchased from them. From the June update and onwards, we will add storage NPCs to the event maps when possible to avoid inconvenience. Awesome. Because that is sometimes a little bit annoying, having to move around, and I think that's a pretty quick change they can do, so that's pretty solid. Discussion board post statistics. Oh yeah, let's have a look. How many people want to get rid of the job balance, growth, dojo, etc.? Lower the core enhancement difficulty for each job. Dude, you're getting so much damage for that. Why does it need to be made easier? Meso-consumable goods. Game content reboot. Lower the growth difficulty. Yeah, because that guy... Oh, no, that was not reboot. Never mind. Bosses. Expand practice mode and practice mode only options. Oh, wait. It's a... Oh. Can I click this in a different tab? Ah, there we go. Hey, Oxu, thank you for the gifted sub to Forgotten Spirit. Appreciate it, thank you. Game content. Add a blocks megas feature. Do you think they will ever do that? Like, people pay money so that other people can see their message, and then you allow an option for other people to just opt out. I think if they ever do that, you would have to pay money to block Smegas as well. It's basically like getting Nexon Premium so that you don't have to see the ads. If you pay like $2.99 a month, maybe you can block the Smegas if you want to. Spend practice mode. Okay, so they talked about all of the most important parts of that. Okay, and then the new last thing that came up today, very new, hot off the presses, is user advisory group first discussion topics and ability improvement error. I wonder if anything here came up that we ended up sending for the input for Sam. But two to notice this week. One is the first discussion topics that will be covered by the user advisory group, and the second is an error with ability that they fixed and will give some compensation for. Where's the summer update preview next? Yeah, everyone is looking for that summer preview. Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys think you know what the name is going to be of the Nexon KMS MapleStory Summer 2021 update, let me know. Most likely going to be with a D, right? Because it seems like they're spelling out Grandis with these updates. And then S is projected to have like Darmur as the fight. But let's see. Sam said his sending option fell through. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. There were just 8 people who participated. From 10 people mentioned in the previous update, 2 of them said it would be difficult for them to continue with the user advisory group due to personal circumstances, although it was a short time. I'd like to thank them for the love and passion they showed MapleStory. Next, we'll inform about the topics discussed. Said the ones to be discussed first. In agreement with the advisory group, all topics will be discussed for on all worlds, normal/reboot. Today's code is apparently Sunshine. Gold Beach Sunshine, apparently, so far. Boss topics being discussed first: boss rewards reorganization, discussion board reorganization, and character growth experience reorganization. I'm very interested in the boss reward one, you know, because of the current changes to the flames and the cubes already into the Legion shop and to regular monsters away from bosses. Because that'll have quite some impact on people who get a lot of their income through bosses, including myself, of course. Our discussions on the above topic are done. We will summarize and release the main content discussed with the user advisory group, in addition through update release notes. We'll inform you about things that have actually been done based on discussions we had. We will continue with the work schedule promised by the development team. Even if some content has already been reflected in the game, we will continue to supplement them with additional discussed content. When determining the development direction for each topic, we'll go through the process of checking and collecting not only the opinions of the user advisory group, but also the opinions of players through the discussion board. Good. Discussion board, which is scheduled to be reorganized, will have the same topics as those being discussed by the user advisory group, and will give away for players to share their opinions. Great. The major reorganization, which will be reflected in June, are as follows. So first, the discussion board reorganization direction. There will be many discussion topics. We would like to focus on discussing opinions for a set period of time. Discussion topics will begin with the topics that will be discussed first by the user advisory group. These topics are selected based on those the development team is thinking about and topics requested by players. One or more suggested discussion topics will be given. So I assume that they go by just regular board threads that are made by players, and then if something comes up a lot, then that'll become a topic. If it's something that the devs want to work on or need to be working on, then that comes up as a topic. And then they'll just have a specific topic discussion board, and not so much just a free-flowing, just throw whatever you want and name the the thread whatever you want, and then just go ham in the comment section kind of thing. So a bit more structured and easier to group all of the similar topic discussion together. I imagine going through these boards and reading all the comments that are written in there is probably quite a grueling task. I think it's a lot of work to make sure that you make sense of all of the stuff being said in there. If you'd like to discuss a topic other than the one suggested, you can use the topic selection request option, and it will be used as reference for future discussion topics. Okay, so they have the new kind of topics that you want to in there. Option will be reflected in the next reorganization. I hope that there's still like an open space where everyone can post anything that they want, right? But I guess the main way that they want to get feedback is by having this the discussion topics. The topic selection topics options will be reflected in the next reorganization. In the first reorganization, only posts related to the suggested discussion topics can be made. Oh, okay, so it's quite restrictive. Final direction will be decided, but it's probably, I don't know. If they get as long as they get a lot of requests and then they make that topic because they get a lot of requests for it, then it's fine, I guess. But if it's only like, hey, here are the 4 topics that we want to hear your opinion about, give us opinion about these 4, there's something to be said about like concerted efforts, or like zooming in on singular topics and just focusing, owning in on one topic at a time, or like 4 topics at a time, and giving your input fully on those. The problem is, though, that a lot of things can be connected, and if you only discuss one side of a thing because you're only, collecting feedback on a certain topic, you might run the risk that one topic, or the negative effects of fixing one side of a problem can make the other side even worse. So that's an important thing. The other thing is that, so I hope they take that into consideration properly. Final direction will be decided based on not only the discussions with the user advisory group, but also the opinions of players who share their opinions on the discussed topics. Hello. Beta. Okay, can I finish this first? Detailed development direction and reflection schedule for discussion topics will be shared through update release notes. So let's see how that works exactly. User advisory group will not know the detailed development direction or reflection schedule until they are officially announced. Well, now I'm completely off it because sister just shows up and starts stealing my chairs. Well, her chairs, I guess, technically. Yeah, but I mean, they have to put this part in because of all of the, like, oh, please disassemble the board because these people are going to be deciding for us what the game needs to be, and we want to make sure that our voice as players is big and it's not just listening to these 8 people, right? So they're like, we heard you, like, that's not going to happen, but they have to make sure that they keep appeasing the populace, because otherwise those things will stay out, those feelings will still float around. We continue to share the current state of the discussion process with the user advisory group. In addition to supporting the user advisory group, we request your various opinions through the discussion board, of course. And then this part is just compensation, I think, for a mistake they made with the inner ability. As you guys know, they changed the inner ability costs for re-rolling, and got rid of the ability for inner ability to roll back downwards. We will still build inner ability in exactly the same way, but it'll be cheaper. And there will be a bunch of options that will be taken away. So basically what will happen is, if you're thinking about working on inner ability, and I guess this is coming at a good time because this Sunday, I believe, there is the 50% off inner ability. Work on a temporary inner ability and just hold on to honor experience and just save up all your honor experience. And then once this change comes to GMS, then, by then you'll have saved up a bunch of honor experience, and then you can go hard on min-maxing for your endgame inner ability. But until then, I think it's best to just look for a temporary inner ability, and then hold on to that, and then that's probably what I would advise to you guys. And not even if you have like 500,000 or 1 million honor experience, I wouldn't go too hard right now, especially with the upcoming event. Aim for a temporary, and for most people, temporary is either a big chunk of buff duration, attack speed if you need it. Because remember, attack speed, inner ability, that stuff is also going to be changing a little bit for some classes. Or 20% meso or 20% drop. That's, like, for most people, one of those 4 lines is going to be a perfect temporary inner ability for most classes. So with all that being said, we would like to inform you that certain parts of the ability improvements made in the May 20 update, so that's in KMS of course, were incorrectly not reflected in game. By looking at the content during the May probability type item verification process, we apologize to the many people who were inconvenienced while resetting their ability because the changes were not accurately reflected. We will provide all honor used when resetting ability at epic rank, and as an apology for the inconvenience, we will give a 50% discount on ability reset costs for 1 week. Patch content not reflected as an error. When resetting the ability, the chance to increase rank from epic to unique has been changed from 1% to 2%. Actually, it was applied as 1%. Oh, okay. So what happened, again, if you didn't see the previous one, they doubled the cost to go from, for just random re-rolling from epic to unique. They doubled the cost, but they were also going to double the percentage chance, but apparently the double percentage chance didn't go through. So they're reimbursing people who rolled to tier up their inner ability during that time. You know, until they figured it out. After June 4th, maintenance, the ability improvement was reflected correctly. We will distribute all the honor experience. Yeah, so you could basically talk to the administrator again and pick up the difference there, your compensation. After this is done, each character will receive a notification for the details, and then a whole week of 50% off reroll. That's pretty generous. In future, we'll pay more attention to accurately reflect the information we will provide in updates note. Of course, this is far from ideal. You don't want them to be like, hey, this is a big problem, we're going to fix it, and then have a problem in the fix. But the silver lining is that at least they figured out the problem for the fix really quickly and immediately readjusted it and immediately fixed it, and they're not letting this go for like another 12 years before they fix it. So, you know, it's definitely not perfect, and it's still Nexon. We know it's Nexon, but at least they're fixing it right away and giving and immediately giving the compensation and some bonus compensation. So they are taking this very seriously and are more directly connected to all of the stuff they're implementing. So, you know, it's not ideal, but it's better than just letting it go. So yeah, any opinions you guys have on the, well, I guess if you're a non-reboot, on the additional option transfer scroll, and if you think this should or will come to GMS, any comments on that will be very welcome. So as it comes to the discussion board topics, any of these topics that you agree with, disagree with, let me know. Of course, also taking into consideration their downstream effects on GMS and how that would affect our gameplay here. And of course, the user advisory group, no specific details yet on everything that was discussed. That's still taken into consideration, and we'll probably see, like within a week, hopefully, we'll see a follow-up on that for all of the topics to see what kind of stuff was discussed and what the compensation was. How you feel about the inner-ability snafu, and of course, what you're looking forward to, because we already know a bunch of stuff that's coming in June, of course, for KMS, because a bunch of stuff was already, they already mentioned that they know what they're going to put in the June and in the September updates. Of course, all of the topics that came bubbling to the surface when it came to looking at the discussion boards and when it came to the user advisory, the user conference, right? There were a lot of topics that they said, okay, this is going to happen in June, this is going to happen in September. So we already know a bunch of stuff, but what are some other things that you guys are looking forward to in the KMS update? Hopefully within a week we should get some kind of preview on that, so that should be exciting. And of course, as soon as we get that, I'll do my best to make a video on that and immediately get you guys informed. Of course, that will be a Tespia update first, so make sure that you take into account that that doesn't mean that anything in there is necessarily going to be implemented in the game 100%. It's always going to be under review for at least 1 week, possibly 2. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you on